So you've done amazing work for a client, but now you're stuck in this waiting, chasing down approvals, reminders, and even overdue payments. And it's incredibly frustrating. But what if you could flip that script and finally make clients as accountable as you are without sounding pushy, awkward, or even risking the relationship? I'll show you exactly what to do, what to avoid, and the practical scripts that you can steal for your next project so you can get out of that chase mode for good. I've helped creative teams transform their entire workflow using these steps. And today I'm sharing the exact playbook with you. Let's jump in. So one of the first things that you really need to do is that you need to set clear expectations early. You need to spell out deadlines, you need to spell out deliverables, the payment terms, all the things that are ultimately going to be necessary for this project to go as it should and as it needs to. And you also need to ensure that your clients are reminded throughout the entire process. The reality is that when they sign the agreement, it may even be potentially weeks, months before the actual completion of all the things that they need to do, the final approvals, all of that sort of thing. And what happens if they don't actually provide approvals in that timeline? Are there penalties of additional cost? Does the timeline end up being extended? Do they end up losing a revision? Like, what exactly ends up happening? Because the reality for you and the reality for us is that when we're engaging with anyone, really, right? It's like if I were to take my phone as an example, I don't use my phone today. I'm still paying for the right to have that phone today, right? Like I'm still paying my cell phone provider for the same thing. And the reality is that we all kind of know these things. And the reality when engaging with an agency, if this is one of the first times the client has engaged with an agency, they don't know how to truly engage and work with them. And so it is our responsibility to make sure that they understand the parameters, the boundary lines that we ultimately have. And that needs to be clearly articulated in the SOW. We need to remind the client throughout the engagement so that ultimately we don't end up stuck in this place where we are chasing them. We feel like we are needing to be the bad guy and we end up surprising the client when we end up having to drop the hammer, which is what ends up causing the risk to the relationship. The next piece is you really cannot assume that clients know your process. If you don't explain it, how it is going to work, where they need to be providing the information, it actually creates a whole lot of confusion. And the reality is that with this piece of it, right, is that if you're not very clear and articulate of exactly how it is that they should be engaging with you, and especially for those clients that haven't worked with an agency before, that no wonder they're not engaging with us the way that we want them to because they don't know how. And we haven't told them how. And it's a new relationship with you either way. Even if they had engaged with an agency before, it's still a new relationship and it's incredibly important. The next one is you need to send reminders, emails, messages, a few days before something's happening. And so here's the thing that I see happen, right, is that we wait until after something was due by the client. Do we actually chase them? And so you need to be proactive about it and say, hey, we're presenting the information today. Want to let you know that by Thursday, we are expecting that you are going to provide us with all that feedback. Tuesday rolls around that following week that they need to be sending it over by Thursday, right? Is that, okay, so hey, just reminder, we need to get your feedback by Thursday. Wanted to let you know that just as a reminder, if this happens, then your deadline is going to be pushed, or there's going to be a fee, or there's going to be a this, or here's the ramifications if that doesn't happen. You remind them of what's going on. That's the thing I was talking about earlier. And as the day comes along, it's like, hey, I just want to make sure that everything is set for you to be able to provide the information by end of day today, the deadline that we currently have. Following morning, we're picking up, hey, notice we didn't get the information. So it's like, how do we actually have all these pieces that are going on? And all of these emails can be set up ahead of time. That can be done even in a lot of instances kind of automatically throughout the actual process as, hey, we've put it into our system. It then now is going to allow for us to be able to do things at the appropriate time. The thing that you cannot and should not do here is wait until something is overdue. Being proactive in the way that you're putting your follow-ups in place, even better, making them automated, allows for you to be able to do things in the most streamlined fashion possible. If a project goes past due, this is one of the biggest things that causes erosion of profitability at an agency because we end up not being in the project as much and it ends up making it less efficient because we're having to reintroduce the information back to ourselves to be able to take where we had left off and continue going. We're spending a lot of time chasing the client to be able to get things, and then the client gets disenchanted. We're needing to fix things. So making sure that you're doing this in a programmatic fashion is actually incredibly important. A piece that's really important, but also a lot of people avoid, is that you need to have those difficult conversations quickly and early. If something's late, you need to address it professionally. You need to address it promptly. You need to let the client know. It's the reality of any mutually beneficial, respectful relationship is that people don't want to step on your toes. They don't want to overstep their boundary. They don't want to actually harm you in any way. And don't let fear of conflict end up stopping you from being able to actually have a successful project, because the reality is the client came to you for an objective or a goal within their business. And if you're not able to do this in the most effective way possible, and it's going to actually potentially damage them, it's in their better interest as well. So you're suffering, their work is suffering, their goals are suffering, and it ends up just not having a good dynamic across the board. And if you're not sharing that information ahead of time, you're actually creating for a worse problem. The next thing is making sure that you reinforce accountability in every meeting. So one of the things that I like to do here is like a game plan at the end of every agenda. So you have, here's who's assigned the thing, here's the due date, here's what it is, and making sure that everyone understands exactly what's going on. And at the beginning of every single meeting agenda, here's the scope of all the things that are included, and here's kind of what's going on. Even a potential link to the actual document where they can see their proposal, scope of work, the contract, and allowing for things to actually continue moving throughout the actual timeline. And making sure that you're able to continue moving things along. Have two things that you want to avoid here. Don't keep working without payment. Don't keep working and doing things without approvals. Don't allow for things to be stepped over and your boundaries to be ignored. It's incredibly vital that you allow for this. And one of the things that this does is this teaches, and if you are giving them, continuing to do work without payment, you're allowing them to do things and overstep your boundaries, you're actually creating a bad precedent, you're reinforcing bad behavior. And so making sure that you are teaching clients how to treat you and letting them know how they're supposed to treat you. And one of the other things, a little caveat, is also potentially include and speak with your lawyer about this, and making sure that the way that IP is transferred over is also predicated on payment. One of the last things is I want you to reinforce good behavior and start to actually truly change them. So celebrate when things are going well, when, hey, we're ahead of schedule, we got feedback a bit early, and hey, this was really exciting, and be able to acknowledge when things are going right. Positive reinforcement really does truly pay off. But don't take on your clients' responsibilities. Don't chase them endlessly. Don't take on work that you're supposed to. Don't be there, this person that is being their parent. You're not here to be their parent or their babysitter. You're here to be their advisor, their support in the direction of where to guide them of where they need to go. But you're not there to be their parent or their babysitter. So now you know how to keep clients accountable and projects on track. But even with that nailed down, approvals can still slow everything down, and clients can feel overwhelmed or even unsure. If you want faster decisions and zero back and forth, don't miss this next video. I'll show you exactly how to help clients overcome decision fatigue and give clear, useful feedback so you can keep your projects moving fast and stress-free.